All right, up next, let's talk about automated recurring billing. So automated recurring billing is basically a process by which you can either automatically charge or automatically invoice on a regular interval. So that could be, weekly, monthly, quarterly, bi-weekly, however you want to set that up. It's basically good for two things. One is good for things that are ongoing payments like rentals or, things like, monthly licenses or services that are billed monthly. The other thing it's good for is if you get somebody who's behind on payments, they accrue a large balance, and you want to set up a payment plan and automatically collect those payments. So in order to set up automated recurring billing, you just come over to the recurring tab. Go ahead and click on this. And this is going to open up where you're going to see all your recurring contracts. So they call them contracts. It'll show you, what you have, if it's active, the amount, the frequency, how it works. You can set some filters here. So if you want to see, pending ones, paused ones, certain plans that they're on, whatever, you could filter that. Then from here, this is where you would add a contract. So to add a contract or a recurring payment, first you could either just, you could choose a plan. I'll show you that in a minute. We're not going to do that in this case. We're just going to work with a default setup. So customer name, you either add a new customer or you can add one that you have as an existing customer. So we'll do, sounds good. Oh, look at that. You have, I didn't realize that, but yeah, there's address saved for the customer here. If not, you could add one, or you don't have to actually even add that information. Product, this is what you're billing for. So, this is the amount of each installment that you want total. So let's say that it's going to be, monthly service. It's $100. You could just do that. You can add additional items if you wanted to. So again, keep in mind, this is whatever the total is, this is the amount that's going to bill each interval. You can add a memo here as well if you wanted to add anything. The customer would see that. This is the schedule. So the start date could be now or anytime in the future. The number of occurrences. So this could either be unlimited, it'll bill forever, or let's say it's, an annual plan, or it's a certain amount of, 10 installments they're paying. That's how many times it would basically process. Receipt, I just suggest leave that as always send. You probably want your customer to get a receipt. So frequency, again, I mentioned before plans. I'll show you in a second, but if you don't, then you define the frequency here. So, this could be monthly, weekly. Like let's say we want to do it, every 2 weeks on Tuesday. We could set it that way. Or if we want to do it monthly on the second, Tuesday or the first business day. Basically there's a bunch of different ways that you could set this up, however you want this to bill. You've got your option here to automatically charge account. So if you have an account, you can either add an account. If this customer here has an account on file, you can just select it from the drop down to charge. This is automatically charged. As I mentioned, there is another option, send invoice. This will send an invoice. So instead of charging this, by default, this one charges automatically on whatever date you send. This one sends them an invoice, which they have to then pay. So this is an automated invoicing system. And you can select to add your payment acceptance options. Prorate first month, I suggest leave this alone. It gets way too confusing. And then save and start starts the contract. So that's basically how that would work. It would just start billing out however you configure it here. I did mention as well some of the settings. Let's take a look at two of them. First, if we go to the invoices settings and click the tab for recurring, these are your default recurring settings. So decline recurs, would you like to notify the customer? Yes or no, usually yes. Customer authorization. So this means you have to actually send the customer something to authorize that they do the initial payment. So basically it won't start billing until they complete that authorization form. So if it becomes a little iffy on that, most people just set it up to do the recurring billing right off the rip, but you could send it so that they actually have to complete an authorization form to initiate the recurring cycle. These are your default billing frequencies, whatever you wanted to set there. And then this is where you can add a plan. So a plan is like if you have a service or a few service levels, let's say 2 or 3 service levels or payments that you do regularly, you could set that up as a plan so you don't have to re-input the information every time. So to do that, you would just add the item, the line item that you want to charge, you give the plan a name, you would set up whatever that frequency of that plan is, start and save, and then you would, when you came back here to recurring, that would be one of your plans. So for instance, when I was setting up that invoice, you'll see at the top there's an option for plan. If I typed in quarterly payment, it would automatically set up a $300 quarterly payment on the first day of every month, every 3 months. So however you want to configure that, you've got your plan settings there. And one other setting that's helpful here, if we go into, where are we, notifications? So with recurring payments, a lot of times I'll set up a decline notification. So let's say you've got 20, if you always have your recurring payments reported and recurring, but let's say you've got, 50 payments that go through on the first of every month. You might not want to get 50 notifications that you got, 50 payments. You might want to get, let's say there's 2 declines. You might want to get an email notification saying, hey, I got these 2 that declined, the other 48 went. So in that case, I'll do a decline notification. So notification type, decline, any decline over 0 amount on a recurring, and I have it set to email me there. You can also have it set to text you, pop up in your web feed, whatever. So just again, a helpful setting for recurring payments. So that's all for recurring.